don't get it twice, the time of your life.
A very good afternoon. Welcome to the Premier League final day live here on LFS. All 20 teams, all 10 games kicking off at the exact same time for one last match week in the 25-26 season. We already know who the champions are. We already know who two of the three relegated teams are. But there is a lot still to play for on the final day. Will it be West Ham or will it be Spurs that will be heading to the championship at the end of the afternoon? And who will grab those all-important European spots? 4 of the possible 5, maybe even 6 Champions League places are confirmed. City, Arsenal, United and Aston Villa all confirmed in the Champions League. Liverpool need a point, and who knows, 6th place could also get Champions League if certain things turn out in particular ways this afternoon. Don't worry, we'll bring you right the way through it. It is going to be a convoluted afternoon of a lot of things that can happen, but we will bring you up and try and simplify it all for you right through the afternoon. Thank you very much for spending your Sunday with us on the final day of the Premier League season. And here are the 10 games that are taking place in the Premier League for match day 38 on the final day. Brighton take on Manchester United at the Amex Stadium. Brighton pushing for Europe. We'll talk about them in a moment. It's the fight to deny themselves bottom spot at Turf Moor. Burnley taking on Wolves there. Whoever loses that game will finish bottom of the table. A draw would see Wolves finish bottom. At Crystal Palace and Arsenal, well, there's nothing really on the line here. It's Oliver Glaston's last game as Crystal Palace boss, and Arsenal will lift the title after the end of play this afternoon. We'll have that a little later. Nothing at play at Fulham and Newcastle, but pride in the final game of the season. At Anfield, Mo Salah and Andy Robertson will depart this afternoon. And they take on a Brentford side who are pushing for Europe as well themselves. Lots on the line there at Anfield. At Manchester City, the title might not be on the line, but Pep Guardiola's final game in charge of City taking on Aston Villa there at the Etihad. We'll have keen eye on that one. Bournemouth head to Nottingham Forest. Bournemouth, of course, start the day in 6th in the box seat for 6th place, but lots can happen to change that. Sunderland take on Chelsea. 2 sides pushing for an outside chance of 7th, and maybe 8th is on the cards for both as well. We'll talk about that very shortly. That's at the Stadium of Light. And of course, the 2 huge games this afternoon, the most hugest games of the day, the relegation battle. Spurs take on Everton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and West Ham host Leeds at the London Stadium. Spurs and West Ham know one of the two of them will be down come the final whistle this afternoon, and we'll have that all for you this afternoon. But what's to come? Well, we'll tell you about the final day permutations. We'll also talk a little bit about Pep Guardiola's farewell. We'll have our end of season awards. Who's my player of the season, my young player of the season, and the manager of the season. We'll talk about that very shortly. And then from 3:55, we'll have the team news from our 2 feature games at Spurs and West Ham, and plus some splattering of others around the country. And kick off in all 10 Premier League games on the final day is at 4 o'clock. But before we get to all of that, let's start with the final day permutations, and let's start with the relegation battle. It's pretty simple. The only way that West Ham survive and Spurs are relegated is if West Ham win against Leeds and Spurs lose against Everton. If West Ham fail to win or Spurs draw or win, then West Ham are relegated. This is the situation as we look at it coming into this final day. Spurs on 38 points. 2 ahead of West Ham, so only a win would swap the positions of the 2. West Ham, if they can pull off victory against Leeds, they need Spurs to lose. Even a Spurs draw would have Spurs staying up on goal difference. So, certainly an exciting afternoon. We'll bring you through all the relegation battle permutations throughout the afternoon. And when it comes to the race for Europe, we'll give you a quick look. These are the 5 teams in the mix in terms of 6th to 10th. Bournemouth, Brighton, Chelsea, Brentford and Sunderland in that order in terms of who's 6th to 10th this afternoon. And these are the possible final positions. So, Bournemouth could finish 5th. We'll tell you about that in a moment. They start the day in 6th, but could also finish 7th. Brighton have a chance to finish 6th, 7th, 8th or 9th. Chelsea Their highest finishing position is 7th. They start the day in 8th, but could finish as low as 11th if results go against them. Brentford have a full roster, as do Sunderland, that finish between 7th and 12th this afternoon if certain things don't go their way. A quick look at it. We'll start with Brentford. Liverpool, who are a little ahead of this, they need just a point to automatically secure Champions League football. Brentford need to win at Anfield to finish 7th and reach Europa League, but they also need Chelsea and Brighton to both drop points. In terms of Brighton, well, they can finish anywhere, really. They can get Champions League if they finish 6th and Aston Villa finish 5th. Bournemouth would have to lose and Brighton would have to win, plus Villa would have to lose and Liverpool would have to win for that to be the case. Villa, if they finish 4th, then Brighton can only get Europa League, but Brighton would have to win to secure Europa League football, and that would be 7th. If Brighton were to lose, they could get Conference League, but if one of Chelsea, Sunderland or Brentford win. But if 2 of those teams win, then Brighton could miss out on Europe altogether. In terms of Sunderland-Chelsea, this is a real playoff battle for European football. Sunderland have to win to secure any sort of European football, but so did Chelsea. A draw could be enough for the Blues, though if Brentford also draw against Liverpool. When it comes to Bournemouth, well, really, it's quite simple. Win, and you've got 6th place. Win, and you could finish 5th if you overturn a 6-goal swing on goal difference against Liverpool, who must lose to Brentford today for Bournemouth to have a chance to finish in the top 5. A draw for Bournemouth would secure 6th place, and 6th could get Champions League, as I said, if Liverpool win and Aston Villa lose their respective games. That is the quick look around those when it comes to the final day. And the permutations there for the race for Europe. But we'll bring you right the way through it throughout the afternoon, and you'll not miss a single moment here on LFS. But to our end of season awards, and these are my player, young player and manager of the season. We'll start with my player of the season, Declan Rice. There was a few candidates, and just to be clear, they were shortlisted. All these winners, they were shortlisted in the official awards for the season. Nico O'Reilly was given the Young Player of the Season yesterday. It was confirmed, of course. So Nico O'Reilly gets my Young Player of the Season. Regis Labrise, the Sunderland manager, gets my Manager of the Season. I think starting with Declan Rice, we talked before, and I said before, about Arsenal needing a leader, someone who can carry them in games, who can kind of guide them through to big results, and I think Declan Rice has been that this season. He has personified a true leader from the middle of the park, running the show for Arsenal, carrying them forward with the ball when they need to attack and score, keeping the kind of solid defence when it's needed to keep a clean sheet or to scrape a 1-0 victory, which they've done multiple times. He's so versatile, Declan Rice, and he's done an incredible job to try and keep Arsenal in the title fight, and of course they went on to win the title, so he's my player of the season. In terms of Young Player of the Season, I think there's no young player other than Nico O'Reilly that's done what he has done this season. He has produced some incredible moments. He single-handedly won a trophy for Manchester City at Wembley. He has broke onto the scene and done some fabulous stuff across the campaign, and you kind of have to look and go, there is no player in terms of the youth that has had a single solitary impact on a team that Nico O'Reilly has for Manchester City this season. So an outstanding young player. And we talk about Regis Labrise. Some might think that's a little bit of a shock. Some would probably expect a Mikel Arteta or maybe a Pep Guardiola in the fact of what he's done with City this season, or an Antonio Areola at Bournemouth. But my manager of the season is Regis Labrise, and I think Daniel Farke could have been in this conversation as well. But I think Regis Labrise at Sunderland, no one. And I think a lot of people didn't think Sunderland were going to stay in the division. A lot of people thought, yeah, Sunderland are going to go straight back down. But what Regis Labrise and that Sunderland team have done this season is out of this world. To be in the top half, pushing for Europe on the final day as a newly promoted side. It's only happened 4 times in Premier League history, and only once in the last 25 years that a team newly promoted gets Europe, and Sunderland have that chance today if they beat Chelsea to get Europe. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. So he's done a fabulous job, and I think that's why he deserves Manager of the Season, in my opinion. So there's my end of the season awards. Now it's time to get down to business. 10 games, 20 teams, 1 match day to go, and we are getting underway across the country. In 5 minutes' time, we'll have team news next. Welcome back to the Premier League final day here in LFS. A quick look at our graphics for this one today. We will have all games that have something on the line on the left-hand side of your screen. We'll have every game and their scores down the left-hand side, but we will hone in on certain games if they ever so need us to, of course. We will also have the table, which will show the race for Europe and the relegation battle live, as well as, of course, updates from around the ground. So we will be able to bring that to you right to your fingertips, onto your screens, right the way throughout the afternoon. But it is time for the teams. Let's start with Spurs and Everton, our feature game this afternoon. What a magical day it really is elsewhere in North London. But for Spurs, it could be a disastrous day in North London. This could be the day their 48-year top-flight record ends, and it would be a disastrous result. Well, this is the team that Roberto De Zerbi has named for the final game of the season for Spurs. Antonin Kinski starts in goal. Pedro Porro, Kevin Danzo, Mickey van der Ven and Destiny Udogie are in defence. João Palhinha and Rodrigo Bentancur are in midfield, with Conor Gallagher in the 10. Jed Spence, we believe, might play right wing or could play wing back, but depending on the situation. Matisse Tell off the left, and Richarlison gets the nod up front. On the bench for Spurs, Vicario, Dragoshin, Sarr, Bergval, Madison, Gray, Bissouma, Kolomuani and Solanke. Well, for Everton, an Everton side who, if they win today, could inflict Spurs' relegation if West Ham win elsewhere. Pickford starts in goal. O'Brien, Tarkovsky, Keane and Mikolenko are the defenders. Garner and Irabunum are in the defensive midfield. Dewsbury Hall in attack in the 10. Roll and Njai the wingers. And Tierno Barry up front. On the bench for the Toffees, Travers, Coleman, Asnu, McNeil, Dibbling, Armstrong, Alcaraz, Beto and George. And Everton side were in this position just a number of seasons ago, trying to stay up on the final day. To the London Stadium, team news there. This is the team for West Ham United, back to a back four for Nuno Espirito Santo. Mads Hermansen starts in goal, a back four of Walker Peters, Mavropanos, Disasi and Diouf. In midfield, Soucek and Fernandez. Pablo's in the 10. Bowen and Somerville the wingers, and Castellanos up front. Areola, Kilman, Wan-Bissaka, Scarles, Lamadrid, Magassa, Potts, Kante, and Wilson all on the bench. For Leeds, if they get anything today, Leeds, then West Ham are down. Darlow in goal, a back five of Bogle, Rodon, Biyol, Stroik and Justin. Ampadu and Tanaka are in midfield. Nemecha and Aronson are further forward, with Calvert-Lewin up front. On the bench, Perry, Byron, Bornau, Cresswell, Chadwick Chaplin, Buonanotte, James, Nonto and Peru. Two teams trying to survive, and it all comes down to this, the final game of the season. But who will avoid the drop? Will it be West Ham or Spurs? Is it a defining day across the capital? And kick-off in all 10 games is on the way next. A very good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us for this final day of the Premier League season here on LFS. It's been a busy last 15 minutes since we went live. We have run through everything that we need to tell you. Of course, we'll keep you right up to date with anything that happens around the grounds in all 10 games, and certainly anything of note from the 6 games that we'll be keeping a very, very, very close eye on this afternoon around the grounds to see who will finish where and what can happen. But of course, Spurs and West Ham are the headliners, and we will keep very updated on those games as it occurs. We're about to get underway around the grounds across the country, and the graphics are ready to go, and we will have a very updated look at West Ham very shortly. Of course, all the games are live on this final day, and we will be watching them all in simulation or together. I'll have West Ham on this screen, Spurs on the main monitor, and we're ready to go on this Premier League final day. One game, 90 minutes to save their reputation for Spurs, and for West Ham to save themselves too. We get underway at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and they're underway around the grounds as well, in nearly every stadium around the country. And of course, the games that we will be keeping a very, very close eye on. West Ham leads at the London Stadium. Nottingham Forest against Bournemouth at the City Grounds. Brighton Man United at the Amex. Liverpool Brentford at Anfield, and Sunderland Chelsea at the Stadium of Lights. And anything that happens around those games, we will keep you very updated. Of course, the champions are in action as well at Crystal Palace away. Well, an early opportunity here for Everton. Michael Oliver, our referee, and an early corner for the Toffees. Kieran Dewsbury Hall to take this one. And the first corner of the match in the first minute goes short to Everton. Dewsbury Hall gets it back from Njai. Garner back to Dewsbury Hall. Will swing it in with the left foot. Took a little bit of a deflection. Bouncing around the box as Bentancur heads away. And Everton fended off early by Spurs. And of course, remember, the situation is clear. Spurs have to lose. West Ham have to win for anything to change at the bottom of the table. And we will keep you well updated if anything does change. There is the live graphics to show you. Nobody's scored yet. Nothing's happened yet. It is all as you were at the start of the afternoon, and we'll update you if anything changes around the grounds. Who will get our first goal of the afternoon? Of course, that will be something we'll keep a very close eye on. And of course, after the final whistle in all the games, we will of course follow the trophy presentation to Arsenal at the end. Here comes Spurs. Tell playing it through, looking for the run of Gallagher. It's carried out to the left-hand side, all on his own a little bit here. Bunham trying the challenge, but Gallagher holds on. And then stolen away. One back quickly by Spurs, and that's going to be a free kick. There's a foul on Rodrigo Bentancur by Iliman Ndiaye. Spurs with an early set piece here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Yeah, really smart from Rodrigo Bentancur. And Iliman Ndiaye just a little bit naive there, and giving away the early foul. Well, you kind of feel that they will be keeping a very close eye, these Spurs fans, on what is happening at the London Stadium. You kind of feel that the nerves will emerge if something dramatic happens across the capital in East London. An early chance for Spurs to give themselves an advantage right from the off. And it's Pedro Porro to take this free kick. He's laser focused. Porro right-footed, swung into the box, clipped behind by Tarkowski for the corner. Yeah, clean header by James Tarkowski. Yeah, good ball in by Porro. It's a dangerous ball, but again, too many Everton shirts in the way, and it's James Tarkowski that makes the clearance header to put it behind for the corner. Just look around to my left there, and West Ham are under a bit of pressure, but they've got a free kick in that one. Still goalless there at the London Stadium. So a Spurs corner, Matisse Tell to take on the right hand side. Fizzed into the area. Charlison clips it back across goal, and up in the air it goes from Michael Keane. It's an awkward one. Just half cleared by Everton as Tell was brought down, but no foul, says the referee, Michael Oliver, and Everton might be away. Iliman Ndiaye just put too much on that ball, and Dewsbury Hall trying to win it gives away the foul. Cheap giveaway there from Dewsbury Hall, but dangerous from Everton initially on the counter-attack. In the end, it comes to a pretty quick end as Matisse Tell stays down after the challenge from Iliman Ndiaye. Yeah, I think it is a foul. He does kind of stand on his toe. I mean, there's nothing Matisse Tel can do there. It is a foul in my opinion, but the referee didn't see it as that. And ultimately Spurs do get a free kick a little closer to the halfway line. Well, just short of 5 minutes gone at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Roberto De Zerbi trying to produce a saving moment of the season for Spurs. He was drafted in late to try and rescue what had been a torrid outcome when Igor Tudor was put in charge. Here comes Spurs quickly. Gallagher driving forward. He's got the option to tell. Spence now on the right side. Cuts it back. Porro's going to hit one. Blocked by Irabunum. And out for the throw-in on the right-hand side. Very positive start from Spurs here at the TH. And already on the front foot and trying to put pressure, real pressure, on Everton early doors. Still awaiting our first goal of the afternoon. And just as I say that, we have our first goal of the afternoon. It's come at the battle for bottom spot at Turf Moor. Burnley 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1. So Wolves in front there via a penalty. Oh, Pickford, a little bit off his line there. Awkward defending from Everton. Gallagher hits it wide. Well, Everton were at 6s and 7s. I have no idea what on earth they were doing here. It's a ball in by Porro. Takes a deflection. Pickford comes for it. Michael Keane bumbling around. Tries to head it clear. They don't get it away from the box, Everton. And as it drops, Gallagher takes it in a stride away from Merlin Roll. And on the half turn, struck it with his left boot. Put a lot of height behind it, but it just hit the side netting. Beautiful chance from Conor Gallagher. But Everton, almost architects of their own downfall there. Horrid, torrid bits of defending from the Toffees. Torrid, to say the very least. So already an opening goal at Turf Moor between Burnley and Wolves. Wolverhampton Wanderers taking the lead in that one. I remember, if Wolves were to win there, they would finish 19th in the league. And Adam Armstrong from the penalty spot has given Wolves the opener. So they are in front and they lead by a goal to 0. The first goal of the afternoon by the league's bottom side at the start of the day. And those two taken to the field at Turf Moor already know they will be relegated. But who will join them? As it stands right now this second, that would be West Ham United, because West Ham drawing and Spurs drawing means Spurs stay up by 2 points. Even if West Ham were to be leading by now, they would still be going down on goal difference. They have to have Spurs to lose and West Ham to win to save their season. Here's Jed Spence. Well, it's a bacon hot weekend as well. It's a perfect weekend for the Premier League to conclude on bank holiday weekends. And Spurs playing like a house on fire early doors here. The energy flowing through this Spurs team in the first 8 minutes. And we have a little glimmer over at West Ham. It's been an even start there at the London Stadium. West Ham without a shot so far, just one shot from Leeds, but not much action there. It's Gallagher tries to cross. Merlin Roll intercepts for Everton. Flicked by Barry, but no one there in blue to keep it. And it's all Spurs at the minute. Everton cannot get a consistent touch in the ball. Lovely little touch inside from Destiny Udogie, who's away here for Spurs. Breaks into the box, tries to shoot. Blocked there by the defenders, and Jake O'Brien was able to clear. Picked up by Palhinha. Now Porro. Down the right to Spence. Spence inside to Porro. Back to Jed Spence again. On that right flank, trying to tick on his man and Mykolenko. And Jed Spence working ever hard. Wins that corner out of Vitali Mykolenko. Corner to Spurs. And that is their second corner of the afternoon already. I have to say they've started really, really well here, Spurs. Really, really well. Of course, they find themselves in this position, Spurs. They could have ended it in midweek if they had have drew with Chelsea. Effectively, they would have ended the relegation fight. But they lost away at the bridge not too unusual, the fact they lost away at the Bridge on Tuesday night, and now 5 days later they find themselves needing something out of this game to stay in the division. A point would do. Corner delivered in from Spence, headed on by Danso, brought down. Danso swiped at it. The right-footed effort struck wide of the left post. Again, another ball delivered in. It's Danso that heads it down initially. It bounces off Palhinha, and it bounces back to Danso, who swipes at it first time. As soon as he gets a glimmer of it, thunders it with the right foot, but directs it wide of the goal. We see some of the injured players. Mohamed Kudus, Christian Romero, and Dejan Kulusevski. Christian Romero, who, of course, reporting in the week that he wouldn't be here for this game and he would be in Argentina for this this weekend. But whoever is in the Spurs media team or the PR team certainly said, get him back here. This could be the day that Spurs are relegated and they're without their captain. I mean, it's bizarre how they even allowed that to be anywhere near the case of happening. That he would be not here this afternoon, but he is here. Everton have a free kick now. Matisse Tell with a foul on Jake O'Brien. James Garner, apologies. So a free kick to the Toffees. Still goalless in 9 of our 10 Premier League games on the final day. So it's been a slow start around the grounds, but I've no doubt that when it starts picking up, they'll all score at once. It always happens. There's always a spell where everybody scores within 5 minutes. There's mad drama. And a quick look, when we talk about the relegation battle, but in Europe as well, as it stands, Liverpool will get Champions League, Bournemouth would finish with Europa League, as would Brighton, and Chelsea would get Conference at this moment in time. That is the way it would look. But we will update you if anything changes and any of the scenarios change, because if Liverpool were winning and Villa were to lose, then Champions League would drop to 6th, and that would be a really open battle for those teams below them. O'Brien trying to head clear. Keane tried to help out, but it's picked back up by Spurs. Palhinha. Udogie down the line to Tell. Back to Destiny Udogie. Joao Palhinha. Cross to Kevin Danso. Porro. Well, we haven't really talked about Everton. Understandably, they've got nothing to play for. They could have been. There's a scenario a few weeks ago where Everton could have been coming into this game fighting for Europe themselves, but of course recent poor results have seen them now mathematically impossible to get in the top 8 and find themselves now in a position where they can only finish as high as 9th. And I mean, without a win in 6 for Everton, it's been a horrid run of form for David Moyes' side in recent weeks, and they would have to find their first win in 7 if they were to give Spurs a real scare here this afternoon. Pedro Porro to take this Spurs free kick. West Ham have a free kick of their own at the London Stadium at the moment, so keep an eye on both games. Take a step back and look at both the minute as we watch on. This is what you gotta have to do. Bowen's clip ball in from West Ham, cleared away, and Spurs. Porro clipped in round the back. It goes, and the shots over the crossbar by Joao Palhinha. Well, 2 free kicks from the 2 relegation threatened teams. West Ham's came to nothing, and Spurs has created another big half chance. It's a ball in by Porro. Again, really dangerous delivery. It's flicked on at the front post by Bentancur, and it's Palhinha round the back, and as it drops for him, he struck it with his right on the volley, but kind of shinned it a little bit and struck it well over the crossbar. But Spurs have had more than a few half chances. 7 shots they've had in the first 13 minutes. They haven't had a shot on target to this point, but they are firing off the efforts early doors here, Spurs, but with no end product as it stands. So far, seems like all the teams have forgotten their shooting boots this afternoon. Only Wolves have put into the back of the net of their opponents, and that was via a penalty to this point. So after 15 minutes in the final day of the season, it's been a slow start. I think everybody's had a busy season, a long season, and they're all feeling it on the final day of the season. Of course, some interesting ones. Crystal Palace have a European final to come. Arsenal do too, as well. Aston Villa recovering from a European final in midweek. So those are little chinks in the armour of those teams, and maybe some switches. Man City have made big changes today. No Erling Haaland in the team whatsoever this afternoon. Salah and Robertson in Liverpool's team for their final game as the Liverpool players at Anfield, as well as the ball into the box there from Spurs. It will drop here for Tell on the left-hand side. Matisse Tell cuts it back to Paulinho. Try to measure that one. Blocked by Garner on the edge of the box. Udogie. Tell down the left-hand side. It's O'Brien for company, as is Merlin Roll. Matisse Tell, no way through there. Cuts it back to Udogie. Now Paulinho. Out wide again to Matisse Tell. Trips onto his right. Clips it across. Away there by Tarkowski. But again, it's one-way traffic. It's all Spurs, and Everton haven't been able to get out yet. So they will get a free kick here, though. Jed Spence penalised for a foul. It's been electric from Spurs from the off. They've come out like a house on fire. I mean, they've dominated the game, had all the chances. Everton have been barely out of their own box to this point in the game. It's been an incredible start from Spurs. They need to test Jordan Pickford. I mean, if it finishes 0-0, Spurs will be delighted because they're going to be a Premier League team next year. But it's a dangerous tightrope to walk. And a goal would certainly help their cause. Still goalless at the London Stadium as well between West Ham and Leeds. But West Ham have ramped up their pressure on their opponents and been a little more in the ascendancy in the last couple of minutes, which will a little bit unnerve Spurs. But remember, West Ham have to win, and Spurs have to lose for anything to change. So no matter what, Everton have to score this afternoon, and West Ham have to do the business against Leeds. Everton haven't been able to register a shot yet, never mind try and score. All the way back here to Antonin Kinski. If he keeps a clean sheet this afternoon, Spurs are safe. Ball all the way back here to Pickford, who will launch long. Down the channels, roll and chase. Van de Ven under a bit of pressure, but Julie deals with that situation comfortably well. Fabulous. And that's beautiful from Tell and Paulinho. Paulinho drifting and driving, but run into Tarkowski, who got rid quick. And it's been really enjoyable so far from Spurs. They've really come out with the energy that was expected, with that belief, with that kind of desire to fight for the victory today and to get the result that they need to stay in the division. I mean, it's a disgraceful situation that they're even here, considering the size of Tottenham, but even if it does come down to the final day, it doesn't really matter. All that matters now is they don't falter and they stay in the division. We're going to show you a full screen of the relegation situation at the moment. This is the way it looks right now, full screen wise. So this is the way it stands. Even if West Ham were to be leading Leeds by a goal to nil right now, they would still be in the bottom three because of their goal difference. You see, -10 for Spurs, -22 for West Ham. So it is now impossible for West Ham to stay up via goal difference. They must do it points wise, and they have to have Spurs finishing on 38 points. West Ham have to finish on 39 for that to be the case. We have a goal from around the grounds, and it's a goal that has come in a game that we don't actually, it doesn't have massive effects on it, and it's come at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Newcastle. Newcastle side who are looking to stay, to jump into the top half today if they can win. Certainly, if results go their way, they could finish above Sunderland. That's a possibility if they win and Sunderland lose today. But it's not gone well for the Magpies so far. It is 1-0 to Fulham in that one. Issa Diop has given Fulham the lead there at Craven Cottage. 1-0 to the Cottagers. Issue here, collision between Merlin Roll and Mickey van de Ven. See this again, Jai plays it to Roll, and Roll tries to play it forward and just kind of kick into each other, the two. Both going for the ball. Oh, it's sore on Mickey van de Ven, but surely there's nothing else in it other than accidental. It's painful for Mickey van de Ven, but completely accidental for Merlin Roll, you have to say. Don't think Paul Tierney, the VAR, will have much more to say about that than just play on. It's the follow through, but gets a clean pass on the ball, Merlin Roll. I mean, it's unfortunate, but nothing really you could argue on that occasion. Of course, Roberto De Zerbi will argue the case that it should be a red card, but of course the Spurs players would say that and the manager would say that, but common sense prevailed. It's not a red card, not in my opinion. It will be very, very harsh. Very, very harsh. I have to say, it's absolutely roasting. If you see my face go really red today, there's one reason. It's 23 degrees. It is scalding hot. Smouldering. I mean, I'd be surprised if I'm not melting by the final whistle. Here's James Garner. Whips a ball in for Everton. Flicked on. Cleared behind for a goal kick off James Tarkowski, who got the touch on that Garner delivery. The first major danger from Everton all afternoon. Their first reasonable effort of the afternoon. Well, it's been a difficult start for David Moyes, and who knows, those West Ham fans are hoping their former manager can conjure up something magical here in North London to try and help them survive. Of course, West Ham have to do their job, but maybe David Moyes, who delivered European success to the Hammers a few years ago, could pull off a bit of magic here for the Hammers on the final day of the season. I mean, what a storyline that would be, but really, so far, very little has happened in either game. West Ham's control of the game has dissipated at the London Stadium, evened out a little bit in the last few minutes. Here's Jed Spence. Gallagher. Lovely ball weighted in behind by Porro. Spence across! And that effort not fully cleared by Pickford. Picked up by Udogie. Back to Tell. Goal at Manchester City. We'll get there in a moment. Bentancur to Palhinha. Well, that was dangerous down that right. And they're not away yet, Spurs. Quarter of the game gone. 0-0 here at the TH. Tell breaking him behind. Tarkowski just easing him off out of the way there, and that's going to be a goal kick. Let's see the replay. It's really good combination of football down the right-hand side by Spurs. Beautiful ball by Porro, finding Spence's running behind. He swung a ball across. Pickford then got his hands to it to clear it away, and it's kept alive by Spurs in the mix. Really strong hand as Richarlison was breaking in behind. And if Pickford didn't get a touch to that, Richarlison surely would have had an empty net to find. But the Everton goalkeeper gets in the way. Right, as we have this break and play, there's been a goal at the Etihad. Remember, Pep Guardiola's final game as Manchester City boss this afternoon. He is the record holder for the most games, of course, managed at Manchester City in his 593rd game. And they take the lead, Manchester City. They lead by a 0 against the much-changed Aston Villa side. Antoine Semenyo has given them the lead there at the Etihad. So Manchester City 1-up, which means our first change of score from our relative important games. And we can show you what that means then. Fulham have gone into 10th. They can't get Europe. But Sunderland have slightly dropped out for now because they are drawing with Chelsea. But Aston Villa losing means if Liverpool were to score and win against Brentford, then Liverpool would finish 4th, Villa would finish 5th, and 6th place would get Champions League football. But hold on a second, because we have our first goal. I told you, when one scores, they all score. And there's a massive, massive goal at the Stadium of Light. Now, we told you that Hold on a second. I scroll through my many sheets of paper to tell you what's going to happen. Sunderland must win and hope that Brentford and Brighton lose their matches to claim European football. Well, Sunderland are doing their part because they have taken the lead there at the Stadium of Light against Chelsea, and that is our first important scoreline that has come through from around the grounds this afternoon. Sunderland are in front, which means that if Brentford and Brighton both lose, so if Man United and Liverpool both win against Brighton and Brentford, then Sunderland would get European football there at the Stadium of Light again. Sunderland 1, Chelsea 0 there at the Stadium of Light. That goal has just been scored. We'll get you the score in just a second, but Sunderland lead by a goal to 0. Fabulous. Trey Hume has scored for Sunderland. So the Mackhams have gone nuts there. Hold on a second as Everton have the ball here. This is a look at the table. Sunderland are in 8th as it stands, with Brentford drawing, Chelsea losing. Then Sunderland will be a point above Brentford and will go to 8th in the table. We can show you that in full screen. I definitely want to show all my graphics today because we did put a lot of hard work into this. There it is. So Sunderland are currently occupying 8th place as it stands. With a win this afternoon would be in 8th, but they would need Brentford to continue to drop points at Anfield. So it is still, it's 1-0 to Sunderland, and they are up to 8th. There you go. Fabulous. Very exciting. And we'll keep you right up to date with that one as and when anything changes. So a couple of goals flying in around the grounds, but most of our feature games are still goalless, and a lot to keep an eye on as Everton have a throw in here on the left hand side. It's Vitaly Mykolenko to Iliman Ndiaye, back to Mykolenko, clips one into the box, cleared away by Gallagher but not fully away from danger. Roll plays it to Dewsbury Hall and forced back towards the centre circle. It's Jake O'Brien for Everton having their little spell now, the Toffees. Very dominant Spurs first 20 minutes or so. Everton have started to emerge. Nice play down the left. Mykolenko swings in. A little short for Barry and cleared away by Spurs once more, but Garner will pick up again. Well, this has been a little bit of a spell that's turned in Everton's favour in the last few minutes. Roll, heavy touch, but we'll get the pass back, although he's given it away to Richarlison. Cheap giveaway there by Everton. Matisse Tell with a lot of ground to try and make up. He couldn't keep it in play there, expected that to come. So throw into Everton down the right hand side. Right, so quick recap. Wolves are leading Burnley by a goal to 0. Fulham are 1 up against Newcastle. It's City 1, Villa 0 in, of course, Pep Guardiola's final game in charge of the club. And Sunderland are leading Chelsea by a goal to 0. Sunderland, as it stands, will be getting European football with that scoreline. And elsewhere, Brentford drawing at Liverpool would garner that scoreline. Liverpool pushing to take the lead at Anfield, but so far they haven't been able to break the deadlock. Quick recap. West Ham 0-0 in their game against Leeds. Nottingham Forest Bournemouth is goalless as well. Brighton Man United is goalless. Liverpool Brentford is goalless, and Sunderland 1 up against Chelsea in our 5 other games that we are keeping a very close eye on. Right, and the champions are also in action. Don't forget about that. We'll have their trophy presentation shortly after the final whistles of all the games. We'll recap all the final scores and the final results and who finishes where in the table come the final whistles. Here's Tierno Barry for Everton. On the right hand side, squares it back in the midfield but couldn't find Garner, and that's cut out well by Spurs as Richarlison was eased over. And Irabunum is going to be penalised for the push. It's going to be a free kick to Spurs. It's been a bit of a stop-start game at times though, this one. A couple of set pieces that just ease the pressure, and that's really only going to be a benefit to Spurs in the fact that this game slowed down, been a little bit more sluggish. And remember, they only need to draw today, Spurs. It's all on West Ham. If West Ham can do something against Leeds, then the nerves might arrive. But at the moment, it remains quite calm and quite composed, because Spurs, as it stands, will be staying in the division come the final whistle. Just short of the half-hour mark on the final day of the Premier League season around the grounds. You do expect there to be major goals. I think the second half we're going to have a mental 45 minutes. I put a bet on today, first time I've ever done it, of all 20 teams to score in the final day. It doesn't happen very often. It's very rarely ever happened. But you never know. You never know. You never know. So far they're struggling because only 4 teams out of the 20 have scored to this point. A long way to go. As Destiny Udogie wins the free kick, and he takes it quickly. Trying to get it going with a bit of speed here, Spurs. Matisse Tell. Just going to play it back to Palhinha. Now Van de Ven across to Danzo. Spence down the right hand side. Closed out there well by Dewsbury Hall, but Dewsbury Hall brought down by Jed Spence, and that's going to be an Everton free kick. Scalding hot day across the country on bank holiday weekends, and many of them in their suits. Pat Jennings, of course, very famous amongst a lot of others, watching on these Spurs greats, hoping their team would never face this day, but today it is a nervous angst around the stadium. Here's Iliman Ndiaye for Everton. It would get worse if Everton score. Here's Dewsbury Hall onto his left foot, closed out well with an attempt of a cross. Spence under pressure on the edge of his own box. Mikolenko keeping the press on, trying to win the ball. Does win the ball as Barry was in the battle, but he lost out, and Spence was able to scramble away from danger. Only momentarily as Everton try and reconjure possession, and they do, with Keane back to Tarkowski. Garner into midfield, finding Iliman Ndiaye. Everton have played a lot more in the last 15 minutes, but Iliman Ndiaye trying to run through himself, trying to score a goal. Taken out. He wanted a foul. It's going to be a corner. Last touch off Spurs. Well, fabulous solo run from Iliman Ndiaye. Fabulous player. Doing some great things there. Twisting and turning around Spurs players. And as he clips it through, it took a deflection. And that will see it behind for an Everton corner. Still goalless at West Ham Leeds at the moment. Remember, West Ham must win to unnerve Spurs and give them any chance to stay up for the Hammers. Dewsbury Hall takes the corner. Left-footed, swung in, flicked round the back, and that one tantalisingly through, but out the other end, and cleared away by Jed Spence. And Mikolenko goes back the ways to Jordan Pickford. He will lump it forward again, looking for Dewsbury Hall, who couldn't hang on to that one. Right, a couple of goals to tell you about. We'll go in the 2 of our feature games, but we will go to the City ground first, because remember what we told you about Bournemouth. They need just a point today to secure 6th place. But if they were to lose, then others might get a glimpse in, and it's Brighton that would have the chance. Well, let's tell you, those are the 2 games we will be talking about, because there's been a goal at the City ground, and we're heading there first. And we can tell you, Nottingham Forest have taken the lead there against Bournemouth in that one. So Forest are in front, Morgan Gibbs-White giving Forest the lead, which means that if Brighton were to win against Manchester United, then Brighton could finish 6th. But hold on a second, because here comes Spurs on the move. They'll get a deflection, they will get a corner off a defender there. But as I was saying, Forest winning now, but there's been a goal as well at the Amex. Now, we told you that Brighton could capitalise on Bournemouth. If Bournemouth to lose and Brighton were to pick up points, then Brighton could snatch 6th. Well, they're not going well either because they're 1-0 down. Manchester United have taken the lead there at in that one at the Amex Stadium. Patrick Dorgu with the opener. So it is Brighton 0, Man United 1. And the biggest benefactor out of both Brighton and Bournemouth losing, what did we say earlier about Sunderland? Sunderland win, and Bournemouth and Brighton lose, and Brentford continue to drop points. Then Sunderland will be massive winners today, and Sunderland, as it stands, will be gone up to 7th in the table. Here's a chance for Spurs. Header straight down the throat of Jordan Pickford. But Sunderland, as it stands, winning, will jump to 7th, with the rest around them either losing or drawing, and they will be the biggest benefactors so far. So a quick recap there around the grounds that Forest are winning, as well as Man United winning in their respective games. Fabulous stuff. I mean, Sunderland are doing an incredible stuff. I mean, they could finish 7th. 7th they sit in right now. Of course, they still need results to go their way, and they need to continue winning, of course, for that to be the case. But as it stands, they would be 7th in the Premier League table. Absolutely mental. And there isn't a scenario where they could finish 6th, 7th is as high as Sunderland could get this afternoon. But that's where we look at it right now. Long ball forward for Everton. Header one up there by Garner. Roll. Dewsbury Hall trying to feed one in behind for Tierno Barry, but not the right pass, and seen away ultimately. Still goalless at Anfield in one of those European featured games. The only European featured game without a goal at the moment between Liverpool and Brentford. It's not a draw that would be helping Brentford at the moment, because as it stands, Brentford would be outside of European spots. With Sunderland winning, then that means Brentford will be displaced. They have to beat Liverpool to fend off Sunderland winning. At the moment, it is goalless there at Anfield. Liverpool have been pushing for the opener, but still it remains goalless. Tell. Gallagher to Palhinha. Now Mickey van der Ven. Spurs playing some nice football, but keeping a hold of the possession for the moment might be the watchword, might be the feature, might be the important one. Just to keep a hold of it for now. But they've given it away, and here comes Iliman Ndiaye. He's got Barry with him. Ndiaye, oh, an awkward header defensively there, goodness me. Palhinha got very lucky that Tierno Barry wasn't more front-footed on that occasion, because that could have snatched a really dangerous moment when it comes to it for Spurs. Could have been in real danger there. Everton trying to play it from the back. They are successful for the moment, and they will win the free kick here, Everton, for a foul in the build-up. Well, first half that's flew by. 7 minutes of normal time to go in the first half here at the Spurs Stadium, and it remains goalless. It remains goalless at West Ham, goalless at Liverpool, goalless at Palace Arsenal. Those are the 4 games without a goal. The other 6 have a goal in them. Brighton losing 1-0 to Man United. It's Burnley 0, Wolves 1. That was the first goal of the afternoon. Fulham 1, Newcastle 0, Man City 1, Aston Villa 0, Forest 1, Bournemouth 0, and Sunderland 1, Chelsea 0, as it stands from around the grounds. Iliman Ndiaye trying to wrestle and battle for the ball there, but Spurs have greatness in numbers, but they have clearance. Garner was far too lackadaisical there with the ball and gave it away very cheaply. And now Spurs want to spring away on the break. It's Pedro Porro down the right-hand side. Fed into the channel. Spence to make the run. Back to Porro he goes. Inside to Gallagher. Porro. Swinging in with the right foot. Taken down by Tell. Tell trying to spin one. Cleared away by Tarkovsky. Back it comes from Spurs. Udogie down the line to Tell. And Tell having to go backwards again to Palhinha. Now Bentancur. Switch to the right hand side. Porro blocked there by Dewsbury Hall. Alright, for the throw in to Tottenham on the right hand side. So a throw in to Spurs here on the far right hand side. Opportunity to deliver into the area. Long throw it is. Flicked on actually by Everton. Will drop here. Udogie doesn't want to take the shot on. Gallagher though tries the cross. Blocked by Merlin Roll. Gallagher shoved over by Merlin Roll. That's going to be a Spurs free kick. That's just really silly from Merlin Roll, you got to be honest. I mean, he's going away from goal. Ball's going away from danger. I mean, Merlin Roll, a really, really naive decision to push the man down there in Conor Gallagher. Free kick it is then to Spurs. Pedro Porro to take here for Tottenham Hotspur. Porro to deliver. Ball across, punched away by Pickford. Spence trying to get it back into the mix, cleared away by Tierno Barry. As Everton player goes down under a header. It's Dewsbury Hall, but he's slowly getting back to his feet. Ball swung in by Spence. That's cleared away by Tarkovsky. Richarlison battling with Njai. Richarlison going to cut it back and wins the corner. Really well done by Richarlison there. Great work to win the corner. Yeah, they did really well there, Spurs. I think it's kind of been the fight that's been there from Spurs this afternoon so far. They've really, really fought for every moment. And again, reaping their rewards. They've been very much in control. Can they find a goal that would sink the hearts of West Ham elsewhere? Tell whips a ball in deep. Header is on to the post, and the follow-up off the line, is it? It's gone in! João Palhinha finds the finish, and could Spurs be surviving on the final day? Eruption in North London. Eruption from the Spurs ends. I said, could Spurs deliver a goal that could sink things for West Ham? Well, João Palhinha makes sure that it just finds its way over the line, and that gives Tottenham Hotspur the opener. A massive, massive opener. They have been in dominant control right the way throughout Spurs, and now they have their rewards. João Palhinha gets Spurs up and running on the final day. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Everton 0, and that will ease the anxiety around this stadium. Well, João Palhinha gets the header. He hits the post and then it rebounds back to him. And in the end, it seemed to have crossed the line. Toe pokes it. Pickford got a toe to it, but it couldn't be kept away from going over. And in the end, it is forced in. But I think nonetheless, it was a goal before it was forced in. And João Palhinha, the one to find it. Spurs 1, Everton 0. Huge goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Huge goal in the relegation battle. And it will reverberate around the London Stadium. Heartache and pain will reverberate around the London Stadium. Because no matter what they do, West Ham, Spurs have to lose. But Spurs are winning. And that is an incredible, incredible goal and it will release the tension inside this stadium. There it is, the look. Spurs would be 4 clear of West Ham as it stands. Even if West Ham were to win that game against Leeds, it wouldn't be enough. They would be down and Spurs would be staying up. That's the way it looks right now, this second. Everton trying a quick response. Garner hits from range. That one's dragged wide, and that's gone for a goal kick. There's another goal to tell you about in the game between Brighton and Manchester United. Well, Fabian Ertzler said they usually bounce back and put things right after a poor result. Well, it's not been that sort of outcome today because they trail by 2-0 now to Brighton. Man United are 2 to the good in that one there at the Amex, and a second goal for second goal of the day for United, and a first for Brian Mbeumo. So United lead by 2-0, which would see Brighton stay in 8th as it stands in the table. Still getting Europe, but by the barest of margins. And Brighton's permutations are crazy, because if only Sunderland win out of Chelsea, Sunderland and Brentford, because only Chelsea or Sunderland can win, but if Brentford continue to not be winning at Anfield and Sunderland win, then Brighton would still get European football, but it would be Conference League, even if they do lose. So they can lose Brighton and still get Europe, but they need other results to go their way, and as it stands they are, but just about. 4 added minutes at the end of this first half here at Spurs, and as it stands it is all rosy in the garden for Tottenham Hotspur. They would be staying in the division, and by a canter at the moment it seems, because they are leading by 1-0. Even a draw would be enough. As Doggy tried the cross, blocked. Catholic says, are you doing World Cup games? We are doing World Cup games. The 11th of June, the World Cup gets underway here on LFS. Oh, there's been a goal elsewhere, and you can probably tell me, I can tell you where it has come, because, well, actually, it hasn't. It sent West Ham into raptures for a second. It sent me into craziness for a second. They thought they'd taken the lead, West Ham, but no, they haven't. They were initially going to be given a goal, but no, it has been corrected. It's still 0-0. This is the type of day this is. It's still 0-0. West Ham thought they'd taken the lead, but it still remains goalless there at the London Stadium. Goodness me. Goodness me. And it's just gone half-time there at the London Stadium as well. So West Ham 0 at Leeds 0 at the break. And a scoreline that wouldn't be helpful to West Ham whatsoever. They have to win and hope that Spurs lose. But Spurs are winning, so no matter what West Ham do, they cannot survive. There's only one other game that's goalless. That's Liverpool-Brentford that's goalless. Liverpool have been in firm control of that game for the majority and had all the chances mostly, but haven't been able to take advantage. And it is still goalless there as we had the last minute of the first half here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and a half-time that will be much more well received than early in the game. And it was 0-0 and the nerves were jangling, but a lot more ease and breeze around the stadium for the moment. Let's hope for a bit of breeze. It's absolutely roasting. The half-time whistle's going around the grounds from across the country. It's half-time at Anfield, it's goalless there. Half-time at City, it's 1-0 to City there. Half-time at Forest, 1-0 to Forest against Bournemouth. Half-time at the Stadium of Light, Sunderland are 1-up against Chelsea in that one as well. So we'll recap all those half-time scores in a few minutes' time. The release from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when Spurs scored, when João Palhinha found it over the line. The release inside this stadium was magnificent. And they're edging towards half-time, halfway to the job of staying in the division. Vitaly Mykolenko's still down receiving some treatment, so that might delay the end of the first half a little bit. Half-time at the Amex, Brighton 0, Man United 2. Half-time at Fulham as well. They're leading by a goal to 0 against Newcastle. Arsenal, by the way, have taken the lead against Crystal Palace. We forgot in all that drama to tell you about that. The champions are in front against Palace. Gabriel Jesus on the end of Gabriel Martinelli's pass, and that is 1-0 to Arsenal. So a free kick here for Everton to end the half, you would suspect. Pickford to kick it long. Only still about 30 seconds to go of the half. No, there's not. Referee's called it. Half-time it is then. Spurs are halfway to the job, being done and dusted. If they can hang on and at least get a point out of this, they will stay in the Premier League. But they're doing even better than just scraping it. They are leading Everton and winning themselves to a place in the Premier League next season. Half-time, it's Tottenham Hotspur 1, Everton 0, West Ham 0-0 away there against Leeds. So at the moment, Spurs will be staying up. We'll be back to recap it all for the first half in just a few minutes. Do stay with us. Sure, one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this, and Liverpool are there! Liverpool are Premier League champions! And there it comes! Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners! Oh, he's found the net! Oh, what a goal! Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so! Ahmad, oh my goodness me! That is absolutely unbelievable. Rice again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.
Welcome back to the Premier League final day here on LFS. Thank you very much for your company this afternoon. And these are the half-time scores from around the grounds on this final day of the season. But we're going to run you through everything that's happened in the first half and tell you what that means for each team and where they can finish. Let's start with the relegation battle, and let's start with West Ham Spurs. Those two teams trying to stay in the division, but only one can stay up. And as it stands, it would be Spurs that will be staying in the division. Spurs are winning, which means that West Ham can do nothing about that. It means that West Ham will be relegated no matter what their result against Leeds. Spurs won up against Everton through João Palhinha's goal at the moment. And Spurs on course to stay in the division as it stands. West Ham drawing 0-0 with Leeds. that wouldn't even be a good enough result. Even if Spurs were losing this game, West Ham have to win today, and Spurs have to lose. It's a massive swing needed in the second half for that to emerge, but it remains goalless there at the London Stadium at the break, and the goal difference is huge. But a 4-point gap that would see Spurs staying in the division as it stands. Elsewhere then, in terms of the battle for Europe, we're going to tell you about those games. This is the way 4th to 10th looks as it stands this afternoon. We're going to start at the Amex. Between 2 goals between Brighton and Man United. Man United, of course, in 3rd and guaranteed Champions League football and 3rd place. They're 2 up at the break. Patrick Dorgu and Brian Mbeumo with the 2 goals in the first half for Manchester United has them in front. And Brighton dropping from starting the day in 7th, now down to 8th with a defeat and with other results going against them. They would still get European football, remember, as I said, as long as Brentford don't win at Liverpool at the moment, and Sunderland keep winning in their game. They would still get European football. Brighton, they would get finish 8th, and they would get Conference League football as it stands in this one. Right, that's the way it looks there between Brighton and Man United. 2-0 to United at the break. We'll quickly hot-foot it over to the goalless game between Liverpool and Brentford. Now, we told you about Brentford this afternoon. We told you about everybody. But Brentford, they have a bit to do. But they started the day where they are, really, in 9th, needing something to fall in their direction. And Brentford need to win at Anfield to finish 7th and reach Europa League football. But they would also need Chelsea and Brighton to both fail to win. Now, that is happening because Brighton are losing, as are Chelsea. If Brentford were to win at Anfield, then they would get 7th place. Sunderland would get 8th as it stands. So at the moment, with Brentford currently winning, or drawing, with Liverpool, they would miss out on European football. They need to win, and other results are going their way, but without a win of their own, they cannot get European football. It's goalless there. Liverpool have had most of the chances in the first half. 13 shots for Liverpool in that one, just 2 for Brentford. So Liverpool on the front foot, trying to secure that point, of course, that they will get 5th place. A win for them with an Aston Villa loss would see Liverpool jump up to 4th, Villa down to 5th, which would secure a Champions League spot for 6th place, which currently is Bournemouth, even though they are losing. To City Villa, because Villa are involved in this. Villa are losing at the moment. Remember, they're guaranteed Champions League football, but they could finish 5th this afternoon. The moment they're losing, but remember, Liverpool have to win to leapfrog Villa this afternoon. That is currently not happening. Antoine Semenyo with the goal for City that has Man City in front and Villa behind. Some more important games at Forest, Bournemouth. Of course, Bournemouth can secure a point. They will finish 6th this afternoon. They're losing, but with other results going in their favour, it means it really doesn't matter if they lose. They will still get 6th. Brighton would have to win to leapfrog Bournemouth of any status this afternoon on goal difference, and Bournemouth would have to lose. But with Bournemouth losing and Brighton losing, Bournemouth would stay 6th no matter what. So Bournemouth are 1-0 down against Forest. Morgan Gibbs White with that goal. But remember, if Liverpool were to win and Villa were to continue losing, then Bournemouth would get Champions League. As it stands, Bournemouth would only be getting Europa League football because Villa are 4th and Liverpool are 5th. Right, that's the way it looks there. Between Sunderland and Chelsea, which is a huge game because either of these two could get Europe, and the winner would get Europe. And as it stands, it's Sunderland who are winning by 1-0 against Chelsea, which would secure European football for the newly promoted side in their first season back in the Premier League. Remember, they need to win and hope that others drop points in Brighton and Brentford. They are currently dropping points, those two. Brentford are drawing and Brighton are losing. With Sunderland winning, that means they are up to 7th ahead of those two, but with a much inferior goal difference. But the point that they have extra on them is what is getting them 7th at the moment. That would be Europa League football for Sunderland, no matter what. If Brentford were to turn around and win at Anfield and Brighton were to continue to lose, Sunderland would still get 8th as long as they won against Chelsea. So it's 1-0 there in that one. So that's the way it looks for everybody. Aston Villa in 4th at the moment, Liverpool 5th, Bournemouth 6th, 7th is Sunderland, 8th is Brighton, 9th is Brentford, and 10th is Chelsea. Now, a quick look, of course, because Villa and Liverpool will get Champions League. Bournemouth, as it stands, would get Europa League, as would Sunderland, and Brighton would be in the Conference League. Brentford would miss out, as would Chelsea. So that's the way it looks right now. Quick recap of all the scores, including the ones that don't have big consequences on them. Burnley are 1-0 down against Wolves. Wolves would finish second bottom if they were to win against Burnley. A penalty from Adam Armstrong has them in front in that one at the moment there at Turf Moor. And Wolves have been the better side, so Wolves winning would finish above Burnley in the table. Burnley would finish rock bottom with a defeat. Palace are losing to the champions Arsenal. Arsenal are 1-up via Gabriel Jesus not long before half-time. Gabriel Martinelli with the assist, which means Arsenal are winning, and Arsenal would be on 85 points as it stands. And that would be one better than last season's champions Liverpool, who finished on 84 points. So Arsenal winning at the moment. Fulham 1, Newcastle 0. Of course, it means very little for these two, but Fulham and Newcastle finishing 11th and 12th as it stands. Fulham 1-up at the break. The goal there coming from Issa Diop, and Fulham are 1-up there at the Craven Cottage. Of course, in that other game, Man City against Aston Villa. Nothing major on this, of course, but Villa could finish 5th. That is an interesting little tweak to the European battle. Man City have dominated that game, and Antoine Semenyo, with the only goal of the first half there, has City up by a goal to 0. Those are all the half-time scores. We've a humongous second half, the final 45 minutes of the Premier League season for all of these teams. Burnley and Wolves will be going down, but who will join them? At half-time, it looks like it will be West Ham. And a little stat, for the first time in English football history, the top flight wouldn't have a team beginning with W if West Ham were to be relegated along with Wolves today. Second half on the way very shortly. Do stay with us. Your one last kick. This is going to be it. This is the moment. Vicario kicks this, and Liverpool are there. Liverpool are Premier League champions, and there it comes. Crystal Palace, for the very first time in their history, are FA Cup winners. Oh, he's found the net. Oh, what a goal. Kvaratskhelia is through, wants to add a fourth, and does so. Ahmad, oh my goodness me. That is absolutely unbelievable. Race again. Oh! You thought he couldn't beat the first one. He's gone and bettered it. Another whip ball in. The header is in by Virgil van Dijk. Incredible.
Remember, you don't get it twice. The time of your life.
Welcome back to the Premier League final day live here on LFS this Sunday afternoon, as all 20 teams in action for one more match. And at the moment, these are the scores on the left hand side of your screen. Only 2 games without a goal in the first half. One of those huge ones between West Ham and Leeds, goalless at the moment, and Liverpool Brentford is also goalless. The rest have at least a goal in them. So lots to look forward to in the second half. Here across and around the grounds. They will be slowly but surely getting back underway around the grounds. A quick recap of the European places and the relegation zone. Spurs will be staying up. West Ham will be relegated as it stands. Villa and Liverpool will complete the top 5. Bournemouth would be 6th, Sunderland would be 7th, Brighton would be 8th, and Brentford would be 9th, as would Chelsea be 10th. Brentford and Chelsea both missing out on Europe as it stands. That's all recapped for you. And a reminder of what's to come on LFS over the next few days and weeks. The Champions League final concludes the club season. PSG against Arsenal next Saturday at 5 o'clock. And then after the club season concludes, we're off to the World Cup in North America, the US, Mexico and Canada hosting the World Cup, all co-hosting it. And the co-host Mexico get us underway Thursday the 11th of June on LFS, Mexico against South Africa, an 8 o'clock UK kickoff from Mexico. Looking forward to that one. Can't wait for the World Cup to come. Very excited about the World Cup. I'm actually buzzing. We're doing the graphics and the stuff. Look, I'm a graphics nerd. If you really care about that, I love graphics. I love kind of visuals, and the graphics we've been doing for those. I'm really looking forward to showing up with you and a little bit more refined and things. And can't wait. Hope you can join us across the summer. It's going to be a busy summer. 5 weeks of looking forward to it. Cannot wait to bring it to you across June and July. And the big second half here for Spurs, though. They've got work to do. Well, not really, actually. That's a complete lie. They have work to do to hold on to this result, because that would keep them in the Premier League. West Ham, if they were to win, then Spurs would have to make sure they don't lose to stay in the division. But West Ham are not even doing their job at the moment. First goal of the second half has come at the Etihad Stadium. Spurs winning here. City were doing that too. But it is 1-1. Aston Villa found a leveller early in the second half. Ollie Watkins. So as it stands, Villa would be not catchable by Liverpool. As it stands, Villa would secure 4th, and that would mean 6th would be not guaranteed would not be guaranteed Champions League. Europa League would be 6th. Even if Villa have to lose and Liverpool have to win. At the moment, Villa have levelled. 1-1 there. Pep Guardiola would want to buy out with a victory, but at the moment not quite going his way in that one. So Spurs 1 up. West Ham goalless. That is the dream scenario, if not better than a dream scenario for Spurs. All they need is a draw, but a win would massively help. Keep a clean sheet and you win on the day, and you give yourself the ultimate relief of staying in the division. 45 minutes to go of the campaign. We're ready to get underway. Spurs kicking from left to right in the second half. Everton from right to left. Let's see how it turns out. I have to say, every time I look to my left, I've put the Liverpool match on the left. Just keep an eye on Brentford to see what's going on there. And at the moment, every time I look forward, every time I look to my left, it's Liverpool on the attack and Liverpool with chances. Still no goals. We're awaiting the restart here at Spurs. Don't know why they're waiting. Are they making sure everybody else is on the go elsewhere before they get us going again? They want this to be the last game action. No, there's communication errors. Right, let's quickly update you from around the grounds. There was a VAR check about that Villa goal, but that Villa goal will stand. There's been a second goal for the champions. They're ending their season with a triumph. 2-0 they lead at Crystal Palace. And another goal at the Stadium of Light. I can't believe what I'm reading. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Sunderland would be getting European football with a win. Well, they've just bolstered their lead because they're now 2-good against Chelsea. A second Sunderland goal. A Malo Gusto own goal that will be inflicting no European football on Chelsea. They wouldn't be in Europe as it stands. Sunderland winning would be getting Europa League football to the Stadium of Light next season. 2-0 to Sunderland. What a scoreline. Unbelievable stuff in the northeast. 2-0 to Sunderland. It's also got from bad to worse for Brighton in their game. They're now 3-0 down to Manchester United. In that one, United have just scored. The second half has just got underway, so it is 3-0 to Manchester United there. There's still communication issues here for the assistant. in this game. So we're waiting the second half to get underway here. And Liverpool with a chance in the box there. Konate heading well wide from that one. Well, the Spurs fans filling the void of the lack of football with noise, with singing around the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A day that could have been so nervy, so dangerous, so disappointing and disastrous, but they're all together, as the banner says, in the stands, and they're all together and staying in the division as it stands right now, this second. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is awful. The assistant is still getting battery packs and stuff sorted out. We've waited a good 5 minutes longer than we really needed to get the second half underway. Bruno Fernandes, by the way, has scored that third Manchester United goal. And it was confirmed an own goal. Malo Gusto's put it into his own net to make it 2-0 to Sunderland in that one at the Stadium of Lights. As we await, the issues have been resolved, I think, because he's getting his shirt back on. His overshirt, the assistant referee. He should be ready to get going again. By bloody time. We have a trophy presentation to worry about after this game. I mean, we've seen this a number of times in the season where technical difficulties and we've been delayed minutes by minutes, but this has to be one of the longest in a while. I mean, this is awful. I mean, how is this the best league in the world and you're being delayed by someone not having batteries in their pack for their communications? I mean, how are we still living in that world? Back underway then. And we're underway once more. And the final 45 minutes of Tottenham's season. A season that's been disastrous and dreadful right throughout, but they might just scrape their safety on the final day with a victory as it stands. And they will have the benefit, you would feel, unless this gets a long, long added time, that West Ham's game will finish earlier, and they will know that they are safe before the final whistle goes here, if that is to be the case. Remember, they would know the West Ham result before their own, as it stands, because West Ham got underway quite a few minutes ago. They're into the 51st minute, so they're a good 5 minutes ahead of us in this one. So unless there's 5 more added minutes on the end of this game than there is at West Ham, then West Ham will finish earlier than this game. By the way, no changes from what I've been told at the break, so as you were from the first half that went so well for Spurs, where they were in front, where they were on top, and they did find that all-important breakthrough through João Palhinha. Porro launching one forward. Gallagher chests it into the path of the right flank, beating past players, but fabulous tackle there. But then one back off Irabunum by Jed Spence. Mykolenko trying to shield it. Mykolenko does shield it, and it's a goal kick. Looked like a corner to me, but the assistant gave a goal kick. Well, I don't know if it's his battery pack in his body or in his communications, but that to me was a corner all day long. I mean, it quite clearly comes off the left boot of Vitaly Mykolenko, and that's a corner all day long. All day long. No doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever. A couple of goals to tell you about around the grounds in a moment, but here comes Spurs again. Spence down the right. Plays it across into the box. Gallagher back to Spence. If they can find a second, it will be huge. Spence on, spilled by Pickford and spilled wide. Well, he knows more than anyone there, Jordan Pickford, that was lucky, because he spilled it. Jed Spence just cut inside, had the shot, and just lost his concentration a little bit there, Jordan Pickford. Used his arms and then just spilled it out to his left-hand side, and it just skipped round the post. Oh, that was incredibly close to being a calamitous error for Jordan Pickford. We have another goal to tell you about at the City Ground in a huge game between Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth. We'll get to that in a moment. Spurs with a corner. Swung in with the right foot. Charlison off his head. Brought out to the left-hand side. Swung in again with the left boot. Tarkovsky half cleared. Porro strikes deflected. Corner to Spurs. Goal to tell you about then. Forest have been pegged back. It's 1-1 in the game between Forest and Bournemouth, in that one. Marcus Tavernier getting the leveller there, and a goal at the Stadium of Light, and maybe a bit of hope for Chelsea because they have given themselves a lifeline. It is 2-1 there. Chelsea have got one back in that one. Cole Palmer with the goal at Sunderland 2. Chelsea 1 there at the Stadium of Lights. Corner to Spurs. Porro fizzing round the back. Charlison heads it back across goal. Danzo in the mix, as was Palhinha, but cleared away there. As Iliman Ndiaye was well challenged. The ball was stolen away from him. Nicely done. Nicely done indeed. Dewsbury Hall there, brought down by Mickey van der Ven. That's going to be a free kick. Goal as well at Turf Moor. Remember, this is the battle of the two sides trying not to finish bottom. Wolves would be winning, were winning. That would see them finish 19th. Burnley would finish bottom, but any other result would see Wolves drop to the bottom of the table again, and Burnley have levelled. Zian Fleming with the a leveller there for Burnley, so they would finish 19th. Would Burnley? I mean, it's very little difference, but 1-1 it is there. So, goals starting to flood around the grounds. Dewsbury Hall swung into the box, flicked on. Everton unable to really cause major danger. And that one's seen away by Porro out for the throw. Still goalless at the West Ham against Leeds in that one at the London Stadium. Huge game for West Ham. They need to win and hope that Spurs don't win. That Spurs don't pick up any points. Hope the Spurs lose here. At the moment, it's going the complete opposite direction. West Ham aren't winning, and Spurs are. So at the moment, it's disastrous for West Ham. Elsewhere at Anfield as well, that one is the only other goalless game. Liverpool 0, Brentford 0 in that one. Brentford will be missing out on Europe completely with a draw. They have to win as it stands to secure European football. Do the Bees. That's the way it looks at the moment. Free kick here, Barry bringing down João Palhinha. So free kick there for Spurs. Well, Everton with the throw in here. We have a goal at Anfield. You can probably see my eyes darting over to the left-hand side a little bit there. Well, there's been a goal, but is there an offside possibly in the build-up? That's what maybe they're questioning. We'll have to see the replay here. No, onside there, Mo Salah. So a goal for Liverpool that has given them the lead. So Liverpool break the deadlock there at Anfield in this one, which would be even worse for Brentford, because if they were to lose, they have to win as it stands with other results going against them to get European football, but they are losing. Mo Salah setting up Curtis Jones with an easy tap in the middle, and no chance for Quaveen Kelleher, the former Liverpool goalkeeper. And as it stands, Brentford losing, they would drop to 10th in the table below Chelsea on goal difference. So they would start of the day 9th, they would drop to 10th with a defeat as it stands. Liverpool winning means if Villa start to lose against Manchester City again, then Liverpool would jump above them into 4th, and Bournemouth as it stands in 6th would get Champions League football. It is a lot of ramifications, not only for Liverpool, but also not only for Brentford as well, but for others around the grounds. 1-0 to Liverpool there in that one. Only one game that remains goalless now in the Premier League. It's West Ham Leeds. Here's Michael Keane. Everton have had a decent spell in the last number of minutes. There's a round of applause at Anfield. Keep an eye on what that is. Jordan Henderson coming off, former Liverpool captain, coming off for Brentford. Right, Everton here, as I said, a little bit of a decent response. They've been on the back foot the majority of the game, Everton, but if they can snatch a leveller, you never know, nerves might re-emerge inside this stadium and things could very easily turn, but that's a lot of ifs. Here's Iliman Ndiaye. Skipping away. Garner back to Mykolenko and now across to Michael Keane. Clips it round the right hand side. Not much room there for Jake O'Brien, but it will be brought down by Tim Irabunum. Now Michael Keane on to Garner. Better from Everton. Mykolenko. Back to Garner. Inside it goes to Dewsbury Hall. Garner. Keane. Goes all the way back to Jordan Pickford. Keane. Mykolenko. Wow. There's all happening around the grounds. Two massive moments. We're going to start certainly at the Stadium of Light because there's been a red card at the Stadium of Light. Now the team that are perennial red card team, Chelsea, well, it looks like they've just been brought down to 10 men again. There's been a red card there. Not too much information on what that is at the moment, but we are seeing a red card pop up on the screen. So we believe Chelsea are down to 10, which would even further dampen their hopes of trying to get back into the game against Sunderland. As it stands, remember, they need to get something out of that. And it's a second yellow card for Wesley Fofana, we're hearing. He was given a yellow card moments ago, and a second yellow means red. So Wesley Fofana is off, and Chelsea are down to 10 against Sunderland. Sunderland 2, Chelsea 1, Chelsea down to 10 in that one. And another goal to tell you about at the Etihad Stadium. Remember what I told you, Liverpool winning now. If Villa were to lose then, Liverpool would leapfrog them. Well, it's going in Villa's favour because they have taken the lead. They've turned it around completely against Manchester City in that one, and they lead by 2-0, although it is on the end of a VAR check, so there could be some checks ongoing. But Aston Villa are for the moment 2-1 up against Manchester City, which would secure them fourth without a shadow of a doubt now. At the moment, that hasn't updated just yet on that screen. But at the moment, it looks like Villa might have just snatched the lead against Manchester City. 2-1 there to Villa. And you can see all the scores updating around the grounds. Still a goalless game at the London Stadium. West Ham have to do their business. At the moment, they're not doing their business. Despite their attempts, they haven't been able to get the job done at the moment. 10 shots, 5 on target for West Ham, but they haven't been able to do it. Confirmation, it is a second goal for Aston Villa. Ollie Watkins with a second of the afternoon means he has given Villa the lead against Manchester City, which as it stands would secure fourth place for Villa no matter what. A draw would have done that anyway, but a win would see them 3 clear of Liverpool, meaning sixth place will be Europa League, not Champions League, no matter what happens now. So that's the way it looks there. There's a goal at Anfield to tell you about maybe some hope for Brentford in their push for Europe because they have levelled. I just missed that. I looked to my right. I saw the notification. It's a whip ball in. Headed away by Liverpool. Poor clearance. Keane Lewis Potter gets a deflection. The header goes in off the way past Alisson. And it is 1-1 at Anfield. There you have it. Brentford are level. And Kevin Shada with the goal, so it's 1-1 there. So maybe some renewed hope for Brentford then. They're back up to 9th with Chelsea losing and Brentford drawing. It is 1-1 at Anfield. So that both teams to score one. It's coming in at the moment for me. I need 6 teams at the moment to score. 2 of them in the one game. So 1-1 at Anfield. Free kick here for Everton on the far right hand side at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. James Garner to take. Fizzed forward towards the box. Header by Keane, flicked on. Tarkowski in the mix, it will drop, it will bounce. Tell trying to get involved, as is Porro trying to clear it, and Porro does really, really well. That's fabulous defending. And Mikolenko has to rescue it back to James Garner on the halfway line. Everton trying to push, but no breakthrough as of yet. Long ball forward here. Header away by Danzo, only as far as O'Brien. It gets a little bit dangly with his feet, and they get caught in possession here, Everton, and now Spurs want a break. Down the left hand side comes Tell. He's got options in the middle. Tell goes to the outside. Spence looking for the cutback, cleaned away, but only as far as Tell, who shoots, blocked, and King trying to get it away from the danger zone, finds Dewsbury Hall and then Merlin Roll. And the end stuff here at Spurs. And a free kick given away by Pedro Porro. So an Everton set piece. As it stands, by the way, Brentford will be missing out on Europe by goal difference against Brighton. And Brighton are losing 3-0 at home to Manchester United. But Brentford drawing at Liverpool will be losing out on European football by goal difference. 3 goals of a difference between the two. A win for Brentford would secure it, but a draw would not, as it stands, unless Brighton end up losing 6 or 7-0, which, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's unlikely, very unlikely. Looks like Everton are ready some changes at this one. The West Ham can snatch a goal. Callum Wilson come on at half time for West Ham to try and add that extra firepower. At the moment in the second half, they've had a number of efforts, but nothing to find a way past the Leeds goalkeeper as of yet. Still remains goalless. The only game at the moment without a goal in the Premier League final day is that game at the London Stadium. As Everton are ready to bring on 2 changes. We're going to see the replacement of Merlin Roll. And Harrison Armstrong's going to be coming on for him. And Tyreek George is going to be coming on as well for Everton. And he is going to replace... Merlin Roll's going to be replaced by Tyreek George, sorry. We're going to see Harrison Armstrong. He's going to replace number 15, Jake O'Brien. So Armstrong on at right back, Tyreek George on at right wing. Double change for the Toffees. We have a goal at the London Stadium, we believe. Hold your horse, because we thought there was a goal in the first half and it was ruled out. We believe there's a goal in this second half, but hold on a second as Tyreek George wins the corner out of Pedro Porro. Well, this will reverberate around this stadium. West Ham United have taken the lead. They're getting the news. West Ham are in front. It's from a corner. It's swung in and the header is on and in. And it's Tati Castellanos that has given West Ham United the leads. And West Ham are doing all they can now to try and stay in the division. A win for West Ham paired with a Spurs loss would see Spurs relegated. But as it stands with West Ham winning and Spurs winning, Spurs would stay in the division. And some nerves around this stadium. Everton corner cleared away at the back post. Well, West Ham are winning. Means Spurs have to keep unbeaten. They cannot lose. If Everton turn this around, then Spurs could be in real bother. I don't want to, but my goodness, what a position this is set up on the final day of the season. James Garner to take this throw for Everton. Long throw into the box, away by Richarlison. Dewsbury Hall trying to battle, but lost there to Jed Spence. Dewsbury Hall got a glimpse, tried to flick it forward, but Spurs again, first to it. All down the line. Mikolenko's got the cover here for Everton, and he will just play it back to Pickford, who will thump it long. Cleaned out of play actually there on the left hand side for us, a Everton throw. So the nerves have re-emerged because they know that it's all on them now. West Ham are winning. It's West Ham are doing their job. It's all on Spurs. They cannot lose this game now. As it stands, if Spurs lose, then they would be relegated. That is the standing that we have here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But they're winning, which is more than enough to keep them up. More than enough right now. 26 minutes to go just to hold on. It's that simple. But is it that simple? Everton haven't had a shot on target yet, which will deliver some comfort, but it will come at some point. You kind of feel. The Spurs have been excellent defensively. I have to give good credit to Spurs. They've been excellent defensively today. And they're without a Premier League home win since December, Spurs. They have lost 6 of their last 10 home league games. 4 draws, including each of the last 2 they've drawn. 4 straight defeats at home before that. So it's not a record you want if you need to avoid defeat on the final day. 4 defeats out of your last 6 home league games. But with a 1-goal scoreline, as it stands, that is enough. More than enough. I only need 5 teams to score. I think Everton will be very disappointed with their showing so far. They've been nowhere near this game. Nowhere near it. That's credit to Spurs, but also a damning aspect on Everton that they haven't been anywhere near the level to compete with a Spurs side who've been, horrendous this season. But is there time for that to change? Mikolenko. Down the line to Tyreek George. Rolls it on. For Dewsbury Hall, tried the cross. Wins the corner out of Kevin Danzo. That keeps Everton up the field. Well, an era is over at Anfield. Mo Salah is being substituted off. And it's the last ever time as a Liverpool player at Anfield. Mo Salah, he got an assist for the Liverpool goal. His last ever goal contribution in his last ever game for the Reds. Lovely send-off for Mo Salah. Corner for Everton, swung in. Kinski was a little awkward there. Harrison Armstrong will retrieve possession here for the Toffees. Back to Mikolenko, wide to Armstrong. Body still up here for Everton. Armstrong's cross blocked by Spence. That will be a throw. The nerves very much reverberating around this stadium. You can feel it. The nerves are there. Maybe some changes incoming. I think Pap Sarr is going to be coming on for Spurs in a moment. Long throw into the box. Keane couldn't get the clean header on it. It's cleared away. Mikolenko in cover. Last man back will launch it forward. Spurs able to clear. Charlison was beaten to the ball though. It's all Everton at the moment. They're the team on top. They're the team pushing. Not much final third danger, but certainly creating the build-up to put Spurs on edge. And Jai gets a little bit too cute. Plays it, tries to play it between 2 Spurs players and misses that chance. Gives it away. Kinski under pressure there from Barry as he launches long. Header nicely taken down by Tarkowski. Well, West Ham are desperate for Everton to score. They are desperate for it. Absolutely desperate for it. They need to score twice, Everton, though. And Spurs to not score again. For that to be the case for West Ham and their great escape. Armstrong out wide. Iliman Ndiaye. Harrison Armstrong again for Everton. Ndiaye. Two occupied. Porro does really well. Really strong challenge by Pedro Porro. That's what I mean. Spurs have been excellent defensively today. Really, really excellent. Really excellent. That's 21 minutes here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As it stands, West Ham would still be relegated. Even though they're winning, Spurs are winning too, which would mean West Ham would be relegated as it stands. Tarkowski challenging Richarlison, but the ball will still drop here for Spurs. It's Matisse Tell driving at the box. Clipped that though, nicely won back by Irabunum. And now driving forward is Garner. Clips away from one. He's got options. He does feed it down the line to Tierno Barry, who holds on to the ball. Uses his skill to work around Spurs players. Ndiaye. Wide to Garner. Just over 20 minutes to go. Everton in the ascendancy. Spurs nervy. Dewsbury Hall. Threads it through. Finds Barry, who's on his own there at the edge of the box and is out-muscled, and as he tries to win it back, gives away the foul on Jed Spence. No updates to the scores around the grounds in the last few minutes. All those scores still remain the same from the last time we updated you. And as it stands, quick recap. Liverpool and Aston Villa will claim top 5. Bournemouth would finish 6th. Sunderland would be 7th. Brighton would be 8th. Brentford would be 9th. And Chelsea would be 10th. And West Ham would be relegated. Spurs would be staying up as it stands. That's the way it looks. Around the grounds. And we will have this little stoppage. Allow the players to have a drinks break. And the double change from Spurs. Randall Colomawani and Pap Sarr are going to be coming on very shortly to try and reinforce this game. And victory for Spurs on a deciding day. On the final day. This will be a nervy last 20. No doubt about it for Spurs. Even though they are winning, just the possibility that West Ham are winning, that means that if Spurs do falter, they would be relegated as it stands. It's that the potential of that happening is what creates the nervousness. They've seen their home record this season. These fans have seen it multitude of times this season. Spurs are one of the worst teams when it comes to their home form. They are not the worst, but certainly one of the worst. They've lost 10 home games this season. Only Wolves and Burnley have picked up less points at home as it stands. Spurs had picked up the fewest points at home of any team this season coming into the final game of the season. But at the moment, they're getting 3 massive points that, as it stands, would keep them in the division. That would save them on the final day. Confirmation of those Tottenham Hotspur changes. Matisse Tell's coming off, as is Richarlison. So Tell and Richarlison off. Colomawani and Pap Sarr on for Spurs. A double Spurs substitution. It's now all-out defence for Spurs. You kind of feel they've gone ultra-defensive. There's only one attacker really on the field now in terms of out-and-out attacker. That'll be, of course, Randall Caoimhan, who's just come on, but the rest of them all will be focused on defending. That will be the focus for Spurs. Hang on. You stay in the division. Conor Gallagher battling with Tim Irabunam. Irabunam had the last touch there. The official says corner. Maybe that makes up for the one they should have had earlier, Spurs, when it was quite clearly a corner, but corner it is. Of course, this game's quite a few minutes behind West Ham's game, so they will know the result at West Ham before they will know the result here. Well, Spurs. Corner delivered in from the right by Porro. Bouncing to the edge of the box, Caoimhan. Spurs on the push for a second. We can tell you there's been a second somewhere else, and it is not good news for Spurs if they wanted. If they didn't want the result elsewhere, because West Ham have doubled their lead against Leeds United. It's Jared Bowen who has doubled the Hammers' lead, and if now, that is going to secure West Ham what would be 3 huge points. And they're doing their job, the Hammers, but they need Everton to help them out. Remember, they will be listening and watching, waiting, hoping, praying, West Ham, that Everton can turn this around late. Because they will finish first, it seems. Oh my goodness. 2-0 to West Ham, and I mean, it's all going well for Spurs. As long as they keep doing this, as long as Everton don't score, they stay in the division. But it's the fact that they're so nervous, because there's a possibility now that if Spurs lose, they will be out of the division. It's possible. It wasn't possible before West Ham scored, and now they're 2-0 up West Ham. They've bolstered that lead, and now it makes it a realistic factor that if Spurs do throw this away, they would be relegated as a result. But there's still a long, long way to go. And Spurs still lead, which means they are safe. No doubt about that. A win or a draw for Tottenham, and they are safe. No doubt. Only a defeat would end their Premier League status. Only a defeat. Cheap there from Caoimhan. Tariq George. But Everton have shown no danger whatsoever, and that's where I kind of see, where is it going to come from, those 2 goals? They haven't had a shot on target yet, Everton. I mean, if this is a team you should be afraid of, then you should be afraid of everybody, because this, at the minute, this Everton team are not looking like they will have a shot on target. Never mind find 2 goals from somewhere without reply. I mean, I just don't see it right now. But you never know. Stranger things have happened on the final day. 2-0 to Fulham, by the way, against Newcastle. So 2-0 there. Fulham are now in front. Tom Kearney with the second. Here come Everton down the right. And they go backwards again. 13 minutes of normal time to go, plus the additional. Micholenko. George works his way into Tierno Barry's path. He's forced wide with it. Tierno Barry, seen on the play there by Jed Spence. Good strong defending. I mean, Spurs have been excellent defensively all day. Absolutely excellent. I can't fault them whatsoever defensively today. Stan says, what team do you support? I'm a Liverpool fan, but they're not my main focus right now. Well, I am keeping a very close eye on that one, of course I am, but hope we can win. But at the end of the day, this is the drama we want at the end of the season. Flags up there. Free kick to Everton. Mykolenko to take this throw-in for Everton. It was actually out of play, not a free kick. Throw-in was given, and the throw-in goes all the way through to Antonin Kinski. I mean, there's been no threat whatsoever from Everton today. I've been really, really disappointed with their showing, but not because I have skin in the game, but to be honest, they've just been really poor today, Everton, and Spurs shouldn't have anything to fear at this rate because they should be fine. Really, genuinely, they should be fine. But as we edge to the final 10 minutes, there's some movement from the Spurs bench. James Maddison, Archie Gray is also getting himself ready. So changes on the way for Spurs here. Seems like Everton are chasing the game, and they're chasing nothing but shadows at this minute in time. Colin Mawani lays it off quickly to Jed Spence. Wide it goes to Papsar, driving into the box. Papsar brought down. He's going to get a free kick the other way though, and he's going to be booked for diving. Papsar. It's going to be a yellow card for simulation. Whether it's a penalty or not, we'll have to see a replay, but the referee certainly said no. Felt it was simulation. Yeah. That looks like a dive all day long. Irabunum does nothing wrong there. I mean, no way in hell. Fabulous, really good refereeing by Michael Oliver there. That's an awful, awful moment from Papsar. It's definitely simulation. It's definitely a dive. No doubt about it. So free kick to Everton. Right. James Maddison's going to be replacing Conor Gallagher. And Rodrigo Bentancur is going to be replaced by Archie Gray. So a double substitution for Tottenham. So a double substitution there for Spurs incoming. As it stands, West Ham would be down. Spurs have to lose for that to change. So Gallagher and Bentancur off. Maddison and Gray on. Maddison the leader. And he lead this team to a win on the final day to secure their safety. Or will Everton find a new skin in the final 10 minutes to change that completely? I don't think so. You never know. Keane, Tarkowski, 8 minutes of normal time to go. Trundled forward by Tarkowski. Dewsbury Hall couldn't keep it, and then Everton just lose the possession. Armstrong trying to get in the mix, but they give it away. It's been a slower second half. Not exactly what I expected when it comes to the drama. Oh, Pickford, goodness me. Almost giving away a goal there, Jordan Pickford, but Everton win it back. Irabunum, Dewsbury Hall. Swung round the outside, it's Tyreek George to make the break. And in the end, fouling Pedro Porro, free kick to Spurs. Train says, if Everton scored 2 in a minute, imagine how West Ham would react. I mean, it would be nuts. Absolutely nuts. It would be the most dramatic ending. One of the most dramatic endings to a Premier League season ever. Ever. In terms of how monumentous it would be. We have a goal at Sellers Park to tell you about. The champions are not going to keep a clean sheet on the final day of the season. Palace have a goal. Jean-Philippe Mateta has scored. And just as we were about to talk about the champions, well, the team finishing second might just not be bowing out with a defeat in Pep Guardiola's last game. It's 2-2. Manchester City have levelled against Villa on the final day. Phil Foden in the 90th minute, making it 2-2 there at the Etihad. Change here for the Toffees. Everton, Seamus Coleman with his last game as an Everton player, as well as Carlos Alcaraz on, as is Beto. So a triple change. Barry, Dewsbury Hall, and another player off there for Everton. So a triple change from the visitors. But is it too little too late though? Irabunum as well went off, by the way, for triple Everton change. Long launch up the field. Bouncing ball will be guided back to Pickford by Tarkowski. George couldn't hold the ball, but he's going to be deemed to have been fouled there by Pedro Porro. So a free kick to Everton here. And VAR might just ruin Pep Guardiola's day, because their leveller has been disallowed. Manchester City, thought they had got a leveller against Villa, but it is back to 2-1 to Aston Villa. So it is Phil Foden's goal has been disallowed. So it is Man City 1, Aston Villa 2. Alcaraz. Njai to Alcaraz. Njai. Garner. Everybody forward for Everton. Everybody back for Spurs. It's that type of moment in the game. Tariq George. Another goal at Sellers Park. We'll get there in a moment. Yanemi Pino with the leveller for Palace. Tariq George across. Oh, Kinski came out of his goal, and that's as dangerous as Everton have been all day. And Spurs get away with it. Tariq George with an empty net, but a number of Spurs players in his way where he couldn't. Try to dink it round the goalkeeper across to Beto. He should have went for it himself with no one in his way. In the end, it goes, and is caught by Antonin Kinski. He got away with that one, Spurs, massively. If that had went in, that could have changed the dynamics. And Palace thought they'd levelled, but it's back to 2-1. That goal has been disallowed, so it is still Palace 1, Arsenal 2. Palace thought they'd levelled in that game against the champions Arsenal. Train says, even if Everton equalise, West Ham still get relegated too. Yes, Everton have to win to relegate Spurs. As long as Spurs win or draw, they are safe. If Everton find an equaliser, it will send this place into deep anxiety. Spence defending there. It will be an Everton corner. Lots of added time around the grounds. They're into added time at the London Stadium. 4 minutes, they've played 2 of them, so that game will conclude very, very soon. West Ham likely to win that now. Ball delivered in, headed away by Danzo. Fabulous header. Harrison Armstrong back into the mix. Garner swung it in, headed it clear well by Mickey van de Ven. Everton need to score 2, but if Everton win, West Ham are safe because West Ham are winning. So it doesn't matter about goal difference at that point. It would only matter about goal difference if Everton were to level. If Everton were to score and equalise it, then it would come down to goal difference, but still Spurs would stay up. But if Spurs were to lose, West Ham would be safe because West Ham have won and Spurs have lost. That's the only scenario in which Spurs would be relegated if Spurs were to lose and West Ham were to win. West Ham are winning, so Spurs mustn't lose, and they will be safe. But if Spurs level, if Spurs end the draw, West Ham are down. The goal difference is far too massive. It's going to be a yellow card coming out here. James Tarkowski a little bit too keen to win the ball back off Kevin Danzo, and they got head-to-head clash. And the referee's going to give a Spurs free kick and a yellow card for Tarkowski. I have just seen a massive chance for Liverpool to try and win it at Anfield. Beards with a big save by Kelleher, and then it over the head of Cody Gakpo. Massive. Well, it's got even better for West Ham. It might be really meaning very little in the end, but they have added a third to their lead. Callum Wilson has made it 3-0 to the Hammers. But it is going to probably be really, no offence, but a bit pointless, because at the moment it's not 3 points that will get them their safety, because Spurs are winning. West Ham have finished. It's 3-0. It's finished. All over at West Ham. Their result is final. As long as Spurs don't lose now, which would be a massive, massive collapse. Yes, James, if it was to finish 2-1 to Everton, Spurs will be down as it stands. But West Ham have done their job. But Everton have not given them a helping hand, which they desperately needed to this point. We're into added time at Spurs. Nine added minutes. There's still a lot of time. 9 minutes. Everton need 2 goals for West Ham to be safe. They will watch these last 9 minutes like it's their life, West Ham fans. They've done their job, but was it too little, too late? The referee's just going to stop the game. There's been a head clash between 2 players, so that's going to stop the game for the moment. Man United have won 3-0 away at Brighton. That's a final score there at the Amex. Brighton, as it stands, would still be getting Europe. They would finish 8th as it stands, but as long as Brentford didn't beat Liverpool, then Brighton would be getting European football. They would get Conference League football. Liverpool trying to push for the winner themselves. Still remains 1-1 there at Anfield. As it stands, Sunderland winning would be getting Europa League football. Sunderland, the only way they wouldn't is if they were to draw. If 10-man Chelsea were to level that game, then Sunderland will be outside it and Brentford would get European football. Brentford partially Chelsea fans as well in the dying embers. The game is stopped for the moment with an issue, so 9 added minutes. We're into the 3rd minute of that. We haven't really got going into the added time, so we'll have well over 100 minutes in the game. I think it's too much of a tall order in my opinion right now for this to change, but it's a long, long way to go. Fulham 2-0 up, and they've won against Newcastle, so Newcastle end the season with a defeat at Craven Cottage. 2-0 to Fulham. It is finished there. We'll recap all of the scores, remember, and what it means for the table when we finish, when all the 10 games are concluded. So Everton with a chance there, well over the crossbar and wide. Arsenal have won on the final day. They've beaten Crystal Palace by 2-1. The champions will lift their trophy shortly, and they will end the season with victory. Long way to go still here at Spurs. This game is far from over yet. Not in terms of the result, but in terms of the time that's left. There's a good 7-8 minutes possibly still left in this. As the full-time results start to trickle around from around the grounds. All over at Anfield, Liverpool have drew 1-1 with Brentford. So as it stands, with Brentford drawing and results elsewhere going against them, they are missing out on Europe by goal difference as it stands. They would need Chelsea to level for Brentford to get European football. 10-man Chelsea would have to equalise against Sunderland. Remains 2-1 to Sunderland there. Mikolenko closed out there. A bit scrambly as Spurs clear it long. Bounce the ball in behind. Caoimhan is in the threat. Pickford had come for it. He headed it. It got all the wrong side of it, and he will get back into his box to gather it again. Everton launch it forward. Driven down the right-hand side by Seamus Coleman. It's all over at the Etihad. Pep's era ends with a defeat against Aston Villa. Pickford has even come forward to try and help out further up the pitch. It's that moment for Everton. George Armstrong. All over at Sunderland. Sunderland have got European football. I'll tell you all about that after the final whistle. Alcaraz, Coleman to deliver. The header is wide by Carlos Alcaraz. Oh, that was a good delivery by Coleman and a decent opportunity for Carlos Alcaraz. Bournemouth have drew 1-1. They've got Europa League. For the first time in their history, they've got European football. Bournemouth, Europa League it is. As does Sunderland, they've got European football. And Brighton have European football too, despite their 3-0 defeat. They finish 8th and get Conference League. So Chelsea and Brentford miss out on the final day. That is now confirmed by those results around the grounds. That is confirmation of all of those results, as you can see on the left hand side of your screen. We will bring them all to you after the final whistle goes here. This is the only game of significance left in play. 2.5 minutes of the designated 9, but we will have slightly more than that because there was an injury in added time, so a bit more to go on top of the 2.5. Mo Salah is in tears on the Anfield pitch, by the way. Well, I think it's got to the point now where they don't think they'll concede 2 goals. I said it about 20 minutes ago, not to toot my own horn, but Everton have looked awful today. They haven't had a shot on target, Everton. They have been absolutely dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Woeful. Looks like they're going to end the season on a 7-game winless run, the Toffees. An awful end of the season. They will finish 13th. 13th. But Spurs, as it stands, will likely finish 17th now. All over at Burnley. 1-1 it finished there. So every game by this one is concluded in the Premier League. This is the last game running of the 25-26 season. Everton with a free kick, goes short. Launched into the box this time, no. Cleared away by Porro. Spun wide to the left. Here's Tyreek George for Everton. Onto his right foot. George! Oh, what a save by Kinski. Massive save by Kinski. That might have just kept Spurs up. That save denying Tyreek George. That is surely the Premier League saving moment for Tottenham Hotspur. Tyreek George with a chance to level it for Everton. That would make it a very nervy ends. But it is a corner though for Everton. Swung in with the right foot. Cleared away just about. Mikalenko. Coleman. Another launch into the box. Too high this one, but it will come to Tyreek George. George to Alcaraz. Across now to Mikalenko. James Garner delivers into the box. Tarkovsky heads over the crossbar. And that's another moment that goes Spurs' way. Surely now. Surely now. Surely now. They're starting to celebrate. The Spurs fans have been celebrating for the last few minutes. Who thought we would be here at the start of the season when Thomas Frank won 3-0 against Burnley on the opening day of the season, to think that at the end of May, in the final embers of the campaign, Spurs will be celebrating staying in the division on the final day. That is what is at stake here. And they look like they're going to get it done. Just about. And you have to think back to that West Ham-Newcastle game last week. Was that the game where West Ham had the chance to save themselves? And they threw it away and lost 3-1. 100 minutes. Still we play. But it's surely a done and dusted deal now. They're surely not going to score 2, Everton. Passing it around for fun, and Michael Oliver's letting it run, but how long is there left? There's surely not much. And Jai with a cross. Swung into the box, cleared behind for the corner by Archie Gray. Surely maybe one last corner for Spurs to defend. Taken short, little 1-2. Clipped in by Alcaraz, little flick. Cleaned away by Dragashin. Drops for Alcaraz. Garner. Armstrong. That's it! The final whistle goes. Roberto De Zerbi runs onto the pitch in celebration. Tottenham Hotspur have stayed up. Who thought we would be celebrating that by the end of the season and talking about that? West Ham United, for them, are relegated after their 3-0 win against Leeds. Wasn't enough on the final day to save them. Spurs winning by a goal to 0. João Palhinha's goal to steal it, to win it, to deliver it. Spurs needed to avoid defeat today. Well, they did one better than that. They went out there and won it. Deservedly so. By far the better side. All the question marks, all the pain, all the heartache, all the difficult moments they've had this season, Spurs. It's all over. They are safe. And they will be Premier League once again next season. It's the bare minimum. But after what they've been through this season, it is one thing that will be celebrated. And you gotta say, they deserved it on the day to win. And you kind of feel sorry for West Ham. They did everything they could, but they left it too little, too late to try and save themselves. And they are down. West Ham United are relegated. Tottenham Hotspur is safe. And the great escape from West Ham is not complete. But the great attempt at survival for Spurs is done and dusted. Final score at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's finished Tottenham Hotspur 1, Everton 0, West Ham 1. But Spurs did too. And that's all that matters. Spurs are winners. And they are safe, crucially, for another season. Incredible. Absolutely incredible stuff. Wonderful end of the season. We knew it would come down to the final day. We knew it would be exciting when it did. And it has. And it has been glorious. Thank you very much for your company this afternoon. It's been fabulous. But let's bring you through all the results from around the grounds and what that means for their respective teams and their finishing positions. Brighton lost 3-0 to Manchester United. 3 goals there for United. A comfortable winning end to the season for them under Michael Carrick. Patrick Dorgu, Brennan Bummo and Bruno Fernandes with the 3 goals to seal the victory. Burnley won, Wolves won at Turf Moor. That sees Wolves and Burnley both relegated, and Wolves finish rock bottom. Adam Armstrong with the penalty for Wolves to give them the lead, but Zian Fleming levelled for Burnley. 1-1 at finish there. Crystal Palace thought they got a leveller against Arsenal and thought they'd stolen 2 points off the Gunners late. They end the season with defeat, and the champions will lift their trophy in about 10 minutes' time, and they've won it. Gabriel Jesus and Noni Madueke, the 2 goal scorers, as Jean-Philippe Mateta got a late goal for Palace, but it wasn't to be on the day for them. Fulham 2-0 winners against Newcastle United in their final home game of the season. Their final game of the season. 2-0 victors there. Issa Diop and Tom Kearney with the goals. It finished 1-1 at Anfield. Liverpool and Brentford. Brentford got a point, but it wasn't enough on the day to secure European football. They missed out by goal difference. We'll tell you about that in a moment. Liverpool opened the scoring through Curtis Jones. Mo Salah with his last ever goal involvement in his last ever game for Liverpool got the opener, but Kevin Shada found a Brentford leveller on 64 to make it 1-1. It ended in defeat for Manchester City under Pep Guardiola. His 593rd and final game in charge ended in defeat. Antoine Semenyo gave them the opener, but Ollie Watkins with the double in the second half made it 2-1, and Villa went on to win. Forest won, Bournemouth won at finish there. Gibbs White gave Forest the lead, but Marcus Tavernier levelled for Bournemouth, securing Europa League for them. Sunderland 2-1 winners against Chelsea. What a story this is. I love this. Sunderland are in the Europa League for next season. They were in the Championship last season. Incredible. Trey Hume and an own goal from Malo Gusto on the day got them 2 up. A goal back from Cole Palmer got Chelsea back in the game, but a red card on Wesley Fofana put them down to 10, and Sunderland hung on to win 2-1. Spurs 1-0 winners against Everton, and West Ham 3-0 winners against Leeds. So, this is how the table looks then. On the final day of the 2025-26 season, this is the European places. Of course, Arsenal are the champions. Man City finished second, and third are Man United. Fourth, Aston Villa, 65 points. Liverpool draw to finish on 60 points. In fifth, they get Champions League next season. It's Europa League for Bournemouth, 57 points. Sunderland, also Europa League, on 54 points. Brighton scrape Conference League by goal difference on 43 points and a +6 goal difference. Brentford miss out on Europe by goal difference, +3, but the same points as Brighton. They miss out by 3 goals. And Chelsea make up the top 10. They miss out on Europe by a point. In terms of the relegation zone, that is what it looked like. Spurs won today, 41 points. West Ham also won, but 39 points wasn't enough to keep them in the division. Incredible. And there it is. But as well as West Ham relegated, Arsenal are the champions, and they will lift their trophy very shortly. But a day of goodbyes around the Premier League. Goodbye to Mo Salah, goodbye to Andy Robertson at Liverpool, goodbye to Pep Guardiola and co at Manchester City. 2 of the institutions of this country going into new eras into next season. Also, end of an era at Bournemouth, Andoni Iraola. His last game securing Bournemouth European football and Europa League. And an end to an era at Crystal Palace for Oliver Glasner. They head off to the Conference League final on Wednesday night, and a chance to end it with a win in a European competition for Palace and a European trophy for Oliver Glasner, defeat in his final Premier League game in charge against the Gunners. Right. Well. Arsenal are the champions and West Ham are down. That is what we know from today's action, but it is all happening around the country. in goodbyes and goodbye moments. But thank you so much for what has been an incredible season here on LFS. I want to thank each and every one of you who has joined us for every single moment. If you've only joined us late, if you joined us early and you're rejoining us, whatever, thank you so much for what has been an incredible season covering the Premier League and a wonderful campaign that ends in the most dramatic fashion. Arsenal are the champions. West Ham are relegated on the final day. It is a day not to forget on the final day in the Premier League. Thank you so much for your company. We'll be back in August. Don't worry about that. And we know the teams that will be here and joining us next season. We'll be back in August for the new campaign. But one more game from the 25-26 season here on LFS to bring you. Let's show you what that is. We can get the graphic up. There we go. PSG against Arsenal. The 2026 Champions League final, Saturday the 30th of May at 5 o'clock kickoff from Budapest in the Puskás Arena. And then we get underway in the summer. We might have a summer break in the league, but there's no summer break when it comes to coverage of football. The 2026 FIFA World Cup gets underway Thursday the 11th of June here in LFS. The co-host Mexico take on South Africa in Group A to get the World Cup underway. But there it is. West Ham are relegated. Arsenal are champions. That's the final day drama. Spurs are safe. Bournemouth, Sunderland and Brighton all get European football. Brentford and Chelsea miss out. What a season. And we cannot wait for it to start all over again in August. Thanks for your company throughout the season. It's been great to have you. We'll see you next week for the Champions League final. But till then, have a great week. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.